Hey family, it's Dr. MaritzaJohnson and happy Wine Therapy Wednesday. This episode is titled The Father Wound. The father wound is something that develops when we have an absent father, a negative father, a critical father, an abusive father, anything that gives us a negative effect from a father figure. Now this father wound can turn into abandonment issues, where we feel that everyone around us will leave us. So today, my special guest and I are going to talk about our abandonment issues. And we're going to talk about, from a male perspective, what it's like to deal with a father wound. Now before we get started, we do want to introduce the wine of today. The wine of the day is from Pur, which is a Houston, Texas winery, and the name of this wine is called Pur Epiphany. I love that. So this is a red wine that I'm going to share with my guests on today. So get your wine glasses together and let's talk about it. Alright, now Mr. Keandre Jordan, before we get started, we starting a new tradition where we put our corkscrew from whatever wine we use of the season into our wine therapy corkscrew holder. So you are the first person, so thank you.
Oh, sure.
We starting out the tradition with you.
Thank you.
Oh, I see you got your tissue ready.
Yeah, just in case.
All right.
In case, you never know.
You never know. So this is, I know this is one of the hardest topics to talk about is the father wound. A lot of us have daddy issues, father issues, they weren't there, and different things, just any different things like that make us feel like we have a wound that continues to grow if we don't heal from it. So tell us a little bit about you and your dad, like how was that dynamic?
Ooh. Okay, so, dog.
It's tough now. It's tough.
Woo.
It's tough.
So, sorry, Mom. If you watching this.
I already let it out there. Sorry, Mom. We're gonna talk about Dad for a little bit.
So, our relationship started when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
So, my mom had a boyfriend. But I think she cheated on him with my dad.
Okay, I got you.
I think she cheated.
You know, I kid you not. Similar story. We're gonna keep going because I'll give you my part.
And it's crazy. You kind of favor my mama just a tad
All
bit.
right.
Just a tad bit. So that's the story. Because he was cutting hair in my small town of Utah, Alabama, where my grandma was doing that. And so it's crazy. My mom's boyfriend was getting her hair done by my grandma too. And so I carried this man's last name.
Wow.
until I was in the 8th grade. And then my mom's boyfriend mom, like a couple of years later after I was born, was like, This ain't our baby. This baby, y'all, he look just like y'all. And I was, and when they told me so, I'm like, what?
Wow.
That's what they said. And so my dad told me that when my mama went in, because so we had moved to New York like a couple of years after I was born, and so he had come back to Utah to I guess visit and stuff. So he visited a barbershop. So I was 3 years old. My mama and me walked into the beauty supply, not the beauty supply store, but the beauty salon.
Yeah.
And he said that when I saw him, I called him Dad.
No.
And so then he said everybody just stopped. Everybody stopped doing what they was doing.
Yeah.
And so after that, he took my mama outside. This is where he cussed her out.
Wow.
And so
why did he curse out? Do you know?
I don't know because I hear two different
stories.
I hear different stories. And so I remember going up to New York, where he lives, still currently lives, visiting like that side of the family and stuff like that. And we really never clicked. I really don't think that we did.
Yeah.
Because I was raised in the South. He was kind of raised in the South too, but he's up north. So you know how we are, very friendly and Southern, and our personalities. Then he's like he was like real, like, and I'm kind of like a little graceful. You see?
Yeah,
what I'm
very,
saying?
very graceful for sure.
And so I just felt that we never clicked. And then also too, I'm more of a. I'm not saying that he's dumb at all, because he's smart. He owns his own business.
Oh, okay.
But I'm more of a scholar, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more academics. My aunties on my mama's side, my grandma, my mama, my cousin, they all went to school, you know, did, you know, well for themselves. And so I'm kind of like under their umbrella.
Right, not on
You know what
I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was weird, awkward with the dynamics that we had, because we had nothing to talk about.
Nothing in common.
Nothing in common, because see, like for me, I'm a geek. So don't let the boots fool you.
Not the boots.
I'm a real geek.
Yeah,
so
I see my freaking boots.
I'll be you know, in the house, like researching or drawing maps.
Yeah.
I'll be drawing maps. I you know, sometimes I'll go outside, play. I go see, you know, a little basketball or, you know, sometimes football. But other than that, I was in the house, like, reading books.
Yeah, doing different things.
Doing math problems and all that stuff. So there was nothing that me and him could talk about.
Let me ask you something. Sometimes we want to please because we missed that part. Was it ever a time when you felt like, I want to try to do something my daddy like to do because I want to have something in common with him. I want to build this relationship?
Not really.
No.
Really, like not really, because see, his stepdad, who had passed away in 2017, became my father figure.
Oh,
and
okay.
So my granddad, his name was Skip, and he said, Keandre, I done been to some different schools, so I understand where you at. So me and him talking and doing all that
more
stuff.
in common with him.
And I remember it was one time when I went to New York. This is like probably the fourth time I went to New York.
Yeah.
And I went to New York with Skip. And I was in his car. We was getting ready to go to Birmingham to the airport. And in his seat, in the pouch, in his behind the driver's seat, I picked up a map and I looked at it. And he was like, "You're gonna be a civil engineer." And guess what? I went to school and became a civil engineer. That's so crazy. And so, like, I had a male figure.
You had a
father figure.
Yeah.
But it was still something that I was missing from my dad.
Right.
And there would be, and see, I didn't know anything about the dynamics of my mama and my daddy. And there would be times where I'd be like, I want them to get together.
Yeah, so you know, so you can have that ideal family where everybody got it.
Because my grandma on my mama's side raised me because my mama was nice. So you know how in the country. Yeah, she was still at home, but my grandma, that's mom right there. That's, but my mama there, you know, but I always wanted them to get together because I wanted some normalcy.
That's all I wanted.
That's all I wanted. And it just never worked out in my favor.
Well, let me tell you my story. So it's kind of the same. I have a different last name than my biological dad. I found out he was my dad by somehow they ended up getting the DNA test when I was 12 years old. So I'm going by Johnson. That's how I identified as a Johnson. I'm part of the Johnson, not nobody else. Johnson and White. That's it. And my dad, my biological dad, was actually around, you know, when I was a Johnson. However, when he found out he was my dad, everything changed. He wasn't around as much. He wasn't finna put all that time and attention in anymore. So it's like I felt rejected once you found out. And rejection, that put a lot in you, like you. So I got rejected by him, who you call is this powerful person in your life, like your dad. And then I began to feel like I would be rejected by so many other men. So I started to people please them. So those were some of the effects I had as far as not having my dad there, that father wound, because it grew. I never healed it, and I'm acting out because I want to be loved by a man in a way that I feel like my dad could have done it or should have done it. And I love my daddy. Everybody know I love him. I talked about him last season. I love my daddy, but we have to be realistic about what happened. And him rejecting me or not really putting up the time with me once he found out, and I'm having to switch to you, it did a lot to me. So how did your father wound affect you when it came to relationships or with other people? Because there was a sense of rejection too, or you know.
It is a sense of rejection. So look at this. I love kids. Like babies. I love all of it. Like people be like, you'll be a good father. I guess I have that nourishing spirit because, well, first of all, being raised, of course, by black women, you have that. But then knowing that, like, being a people pleaser or overcompensating for the things that you didn't have, pour love into kids, and then like kids, they see me and they run up to me. It's be the craziest thing, or they just stare at me. So being a people pleaser, overcompensate.
Overcompensate. I was just gonna say
because when you have a sense of abandonment, it's almost like you do things to fill in a void, like what you were saying, but also you don't want somebody else to feel the way that you feel. And then you know how like after somebody passed, they be like,
you get that too from that too?
You be keeping busy, busy, and you really don't sit and wallow in your emotions, because
people develop abandonment issues from those who's gone away. It's like, you know, death too. You can develop it that way.
So I got abandonment issues from father. I have 15 to 16 family members to pass the last decade. Every semester in college, I was going to a funeral, and one of my favorite cousins, who she was a Delta, she was one of my moms. Like, that hurt me. Because it probably hurt you more because you never did heal from the first wound of your dad. So the wound grows. It just grew. And that's like when my southern brand day is on her birthday. So it was a lot of emotions. And so then I got abandonment issues from being laid off 6 times. So it was like stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. So like you said, I didn't get a chance to heal from my dad, and I'm still healing from it because I still feel empty.
Well, let me tell you what I did. So what I found a way of my healing was to talk about it. But I talked about it in a book I wrote in. I was co-author of a book a couple years ago, and I wrote about, you know, my dad and how he wasn't there, this and that. But I healed from it. But I felt like him having a conversation would have been good. So I would have did it differently. But I can remember how when I found out he was my dad, I would call him like all the time and try to talk to him for hours, and
nothing.
Sometimes he wouldn't answer the phone. I'm just like, I just want to talk, you know. So you feel like lost and alone. All I got is my mama. You know what I'm saying? So I just felt a lot of emotion with that. So I healed through a book. So, but you feel like you have not healed yet. Have you? One thing I would say is, like, I tell people how you feel. You know, let them know how you feel. You got to write it in a letter or, you know, book, whatever. How have you talked to your dad since?
I have. It don't work. It don't work. And so I've written letters. I done cried. I done told him how I felt.
Dang.
And it didn't work because his mom, which is my grandma, and his sister, a lot of times they would coddle the situation. And I would be the one that's in the wrong because I feel a certain way. But my feelings are pure because this shit is coming from the top. I can't make nobody be a dad to me.
You cannot. You cannot change people either. Like, they're gonna be them.
And then the good thing about it is my mama's side never talked about him.
So you never had never had a true family sit down. No, and this is what one thing
they never talk bad about it.
They never gave you that. I don't know. Would it be like a closure from it? And they never gave you a substance out of it or anything. They never talked bad about it, but we never talked about it either.
They never talked about it. But like my grandma on his side, I remember they did say, well, you know, you thought your dad was buying you tickets to New York or buying you Christmas gift. That was us.
That was them.
That was us.
That was them trying to bridge that gap. When your dad trying to do anything, so it's like, and it makes you feel like you don't even want me. You don't want a relationship with me.
Yeah, and then people say I look like him, and it's just crazy. And I remember one time I just really hurt my feelings. No, because I'm a little over that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
you got to teach.
I don't think I need this.
Okay.
I don't think I need this. So it was crazy. 2017 for me was a good year, but it wasn't a good year because I had 3 granddads to die in a year. So 2 biological granddads and my step granddad who was there.
Yeah, he was one that was there.
Yeah, and so after he died, I could remember. So he died in July, right around his birthday, and Thanksgiving I went home to Utah, and folks was asking me, "Where your dad at? You talk to your dad?" It's like this. I said, "This on my mama's side." Like, what? It's like, what? Wait, it's weird. Y'all ask me where my dad at. So I went on Snapchat. I said, folks on my mama's side asked me where my dad at. I was like, "What dad?"
You was You was expressing how you feel on social media. You was like, that was your outlet at the time.
Yeah, so I put it on Snapchat. So my sister,
on your dad's side?
on my dad's side, we found out about her when she was 14.
Wow.
So she screenshot the message and sent it to people.
In a malicious way? Like, I mean, what was her point?
Stirring the pot.
He got mad.
Stir the pot, producer. Stir the pot. Stir, like literally. And so I get a phone call from my grandma.
Yeah.
She cussed me out.
Oh.
And so now they saying everything how they feel about my mom and them side.
Yeah,
and so I'm like, cause see, I would not mix that. So I was like, okay, I'm finna tell them because these folks they raised me.
Yeah.
Like you not finna talk about them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then my auntie sent me a long text like, your mama should have gone on more to figure out who her baby dad is.
So also that's a lot of mess.
Yeah. So now they tell her how they really feel.
Yeah, that's a
and
lot.
so
that's a
then my dad called 3 times like, oh, now you calling.
Now you call. I ain't heard from you, but now you want to
Now
say
you
something.
calling. So he sent me a text and she was like, yeah, you right, what dad?
Now I done pulled out my feelings and you gonna say that.
And then this way he said, ask your mama who your real dad is. He said, ask the other dude who I said was first, I don't look like him. And then he was like, ask our neighbor. So I guess my mom and my neighbors.
Yeah, but the fact is he wasn't taking responsibility.
But we never had a DNA test.
Okay.
We never did, and so that right there made me feel a whole type of way.
Yeah, it would.
And so I hadn't talked to him in like 5 years until he called me 3 weeks ago.
Well, how was that? What made him call you?
So it was crazy. So I was on the phone with my favorite great auntie, and I was like, "Hey, hold on, this is my daddy calling me." So my heart being fast. I was like, "Lord,"
because you don't know what he finna say. You ain't heard from him.
He was like, "Hey, what type of how you be getting your clients and stuff? How you be doing this? How
No,
you
he
be doing
didn't call
that?"
you. No, he didn't.
Yeah, and so I'm like,
wow.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So then we started talking, and I started giving him that space to be a dad by telling him the issues I go through with restaurants.
Yeah.
Oh man, you gotta stop complaining, stop doing all that. I'm like, what? I'm like
I mean, but so why was that your response?
Because
in that life?
My thing is you're not listening to what I'm saying. You if you ever worked with our people, you know it's not the easiest.
It's not the easiest, yeah. But he wanted you to suck it up.
He wanted me to suck it up.
You're telling me this, but you ain't been here.
And that's toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
I hate that in our community.
Yeah.
I entirely hate that.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, you know what? I ain't finna get into it.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that be.
And so we started talking about some other stuff. And I'm like, dang, like now we having a good conversation.
Good, okay.
Because he's like trying to come down here.
Okay.
And then I was like, dang, so you trying to come down here for something for you. But I've been here for 8 years. I did sneak that in there.
You thought that through.
I snuck that in there.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
we still had like a little good conversation. He was like, because I told him I've gone to 26 barbers.
Yeah. 26.
Barbers, because they ain't doing right, because he's a barber.
Yeah.
And so he was like, do this, make sure you do that. You want a barber that's gonna get there on time. You want that.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang.
How did that make you feel with him coming with those fatherly? Now you coming with some father stuff now.
It made me feel so good because
Yeah.
I was supposed to be going to a kickback, but I was outside the kickback for like 30-something
Talking to
minutes.
him.
Talking to him. And it made me feel good.
Made you feel really
and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna call you tomorrow." I knew that was a lie because he did.
But do you have? Well, he coming down, right?
No,
Or
I don't know. I don't know, but I still feel some type of way that he coming down for him. But I've been here for 8 years.
So how, with that being said, because it's been years since you found out about your dad and all y'all been through, how have you coped with that, with your father wound? What are some things that you've done to help you get through it?
Helping these restaurants.
Keep them busy, basically.
Yeah.
Keep them busy, doing something you love to do, your passion. And
helping the restaurants and just really, so I'm going to tell you this. I don't like being left out.
Yeah, well, of course.
I hate being left out because it triggers. It
triggers you because he left you out. So I get that.
It triggers that. And so, I really don't know. So sometimes I just drive.
Okay, well you try to get away, get your peace of mind.
I just drive.
Like
I drive and I talk to folks, but I try not to put a lot of burden on people.
But you do have a social support where you can talk to them about it. If you feel that way, you're able to talk to them about it. That's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any male figures in your life that you keep a good relationship with?
The one that I had died.
That left you again, didn't it?
It left me again.
Left you again.
Yeah, one of them I had died, and it's crazy. I talked to him when I was going to Georgia to visit my sister who did a screen shoot, and he was like, "Hey, come through Tuscaloosa. When you come through Tuscaloosa, stop so we can have lunch."
Okay.
And I was like, "I'm gonna be a little late getting to Georgia," and the next day he died.
Wow. You didn't get to see him?
I spent time with him a week before.
So you did get a chance?
I got it a week before because I was at my grandma's house on my dad's side, and he was just beating on the door, and he wanted me to carry him. Well, I forgot we record. Take his Mercedes to the Mercedes dealership because something wrong with the window, and so he came in his paint van. And I was with him all day.
Just spending time because that was
and he was like,
male figure.
He would tell people like, "This my grandson. He have a new job. All of this." And I was going to therapy at church. And I remember when I got my new job in the therapy session, I called him, and my therapist got a chance to hear his voice, and so I'm like, "Dang."
Oh.
Yeah. So that was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough, and so. But I don't think my dad had the capacity to be like him.
Yeah. But God gave you who he knew that would be worth.
Yeah. And so I kind of modeled my business a little bit after him because he was taller. He was tall.
He was pretty tall.
He was tall, size 14 shoe, but he was a gentle giant.
Oh. And you needed that.
He was a real gentle giant. And so, like, I'd be gentle with people.
You got that from him?
Yeah.
So, for people who dealing, because a lot of men, they don't talk about it, because one thing, men feel like they don't supposed to show emotions and they can't cry, but it's good that you do, because the more you bottle stuff in, the angrier you get, the more you act out, the more you're going to put it on other people.
Beat on your wives.
Yeah, it just comes out in different ways. So, what advice would you give somebody who's dealing with the father wound and abandonment issues?
Here's the thing. I was watching Young Benzette.
I like her.
That's the only therapist I had. And it was free.
I like her. Yeah, free.
And it was free because we don't realize that we have cultural wounds.
Yeah.
We have cultural wounds, and pretty much almost everybody in the black community was raised the same way, especially in the South.
Yeah.
And so she said that don't cheat yourself out of emotions. And because I see all of these like black men being criminals and stuff like that. And I'd be like, I bet you if only they had a positive male figure, they wouldn't do it. Because they'd be some of the nicest people. It just, like, when you bottle up all that stuff, it comes out in negativity. To come out.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, and don't be afraid if somebody call you soft, because there's strength in having emotion.
Thank you for saying that. It's so much it's
so much strength in
showing your
emotions.
emotions, crying and getting it out, getting how you feel. That's strength. That's not weakness. And a lot of men they end up twisting that. And I think that's a positive thing, especially you dealing with a father wound. You talk about that father and talk about how your dad wasn't there, how it made you feel. You know. And
I think we also have to break generational curses too, because I was talking to a friend who is Ghanaian. From Ghana. I don't know if I said that right. So he's from Ghana. I was from Ghana, but he was raised in Cyprus though. But anyway, I was telling him how the African American family came about and why we are the way that we are. Because back in the day, grandma didn't have nothing to her name but a man. There was her success. And now we finding out that granddad or uncle, whoever, wasn't good to him. Yeah. After he passed, he got some children across the tracks, and folks were abused. And then these are some of the same men at 11 years old telling us how many girlfriends you got, you having sex, and making us becoming sexual animals. And so I remember when I went to college, one of my granddads gave me a bag of condoms. I didn't get no sheets, I didn't get no money, I didn't get no book bag.
Just that.
But I got that, and I was like, where the money at?
Yeah, what's some substance and something I need? Yeah.
And my cousin saw, he said, oh, give them to me, and he gave them, and he used them all up.
So basically, we need to talk about our feelings.
Yeah, we need to just talk about our feelings and then break generational curses.
And it take one person. I don't know if people know that. It don't take 1,000 people.
It does. One person and folks listen to, what's that man who just died? with my
Y'all, Keandre is a mess. We're gonna have that on part 2. Keandre is a hot mess.
No, I'm just saying, but we have to know, because I just want to fill this in real quick. I was talking to this influencer from the West Coast. I'm just leaving his identity out of this. And so he posted about the man, and the black women were coming for him, and I went into his DM and was like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I wanted to explain to him where they were saying, where they were coming from. And he was just like, thank you for telling me. I feel much better, because where we at, we don't have a lot of blackness. Yeah. And he said, well, if I don't have him, who I'm gonna look up to?
So he was looking up to that man.
I was like, look at yourself. Cause everything you need is in you.
Oh, I love it.
Everything. So
I love it.
So this is I don't look. I love it. I don't listen to like nobody who is going to damage me.
Yeah, you don't take negativity in. You take positive on. I love that. It's in you.
Cause I'm gonna listen to Russell Wilson before I listen to Future.
So I think you're being a light. Honestly, I feel like you're gonna be a light for a lot of men, especially dealing with this issue and just like moving forward with the gracefulness and not feeling ashamed of showing emotion, talking about their feelings. Men, it's okay, because I'd rather you talk about it than to actually do actions of it in a negative way. So talk about your issues. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed Keandre. We are both country, so I hope y'all understand what we say. But we enjoyed y'all today, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace. If you or anyone that you know at this time is dealing with a father wound, here are a few steps that you can take to begin your healing process. Step 1, engage in some form of therapy. Step 2, See your father as innocent, which means start forgiveness therapy. 3, reparent yourself. You may have to begin to carry the torch that your parents could not. And 4, invest in your friendships with other men. Next time on Wine Therapy.
Help or acknowledge that I was struggling with postpartum until 6 to 7 months postpartum. So I struggled silently for 4 months.
That's a long time to deal with that.
If I'm watching TV and I break down crying, he's right there and he sees it. And so he wouldn't say anything. He would just get up and he'll come and hold me. I think that he knew, but I also know he didn't know what to say.